Hello children, our objective for today's lesson is to find fractions of amounts. So let's go ahead. I hope you all are ready with your 12 counters. Now your counters can be anything. It could be like I have taken 12 bottles of paint. You can take 12 pencils. You can take 12 potatoes, 12 onions, any 12 of the similar objects. So let's go ahead. Now here I have 12 bottles of paints. So let's find out half of 12. So you know that when we have to divide something into half, we have to look at the fraction closely and remember that the numerator tells us which group we are talking about or the shaded part that we are talking about, and the denominator tells us about how many groups are there in total, or how many parts is a square divided into, or how many pieces is a pizza divided into. So here we are going to look at the denominator and decide that we have to divide 12 into two groups because the denominator tells us into how many parts. So let's draw two groups. Alright, so we are going to divide these 12s into these two groups. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's count how many are there in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have divided all our 12 counters into two groups equally. Remember, fraction is all about equal parts or equal groups. So by this we come to know that half of 12 is equal to 6. So this is how we write our number sentence. Now let's go ahead. Alright, now again we have the same 12 counters. And this time we are going to divide these 12 counters into quarters. Now again, quarter is written as 1 upon 4. So when we look at the denominator, we come to know that we have to divide these 12 counters into 4 parts. So let's find out how much is quarter of 12 equal to. So we will make 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one by one we are going to divide these 12 counters into these 4 groups. So let's go ahead. So let's see how many are there in each group. 1, 2, 3 in one group, 1, 2, 3 in another group, 3 in this and 3 in this as well. So we have divided 12 counters equally in 4 groups, which means that quarter of 12 is equal to 3. Now let's go ahead and divide these 12 counters into 1/3. Now tell me, how many groups are we going to divide these 12 counters into? Look at the denominator and find out. Yes. We are going to divide these 12 counters into 3 groups because 1/3 is written as 1 upon 3 and the denominator tells us we have to divide the counters into 3 groups. So let's go ahead, make our 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's count how many are there in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, each of these groups also have 4 counters in them. Now what does this mean? How do we write it in a sentence form? In a sentence form, we will put it as 1/3 of 12 is equal to 4. Now children, look at all of these 3 number sentences carefully and think, is there a relation between fractions and knowing a multiplication and division facts? Try to find out what is common in all of them and where can we use a multiplication and division facts while writing this kind of a number sentence. Now let's take a look at the first number sentence. It is half of 12 is equal to 6. Alright, if we rewrite the sentence as 12 divided by 2 is equal to dash. So we get the answer as 6. Now let's take a look at the second number sentence which we had. Quarter of 12 is equal to 3. So let's rewrite this. 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3. Now let's take a look at the third number sentence. We had 1/3 of 12 is equal to 4. So let's rewrite the sentence. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. Now can you see the link between fractions and knowing a multiplication and division facts? Now I have another question for you. Ria has 12 paint bottles. She gives 1/3 of the paint bottle to her friend. How many does she have left? Now pause the video, think about the answer and then play the video again to see whether your answer is correct or no. So let's see, how do we solve this word problem? So Ria's 12 bottles are here. We have made 3 circles. We have to divide these 12 bottles into 1/3. Remember, the denominator tells us into how many groups we have to divide these paint bottles into. So the denominator is 3, so 3 groups. So let's do it. Alright, so we have divided Ria's 12 paint bottles into 3 groups. She has given 1/3 of the paint bottles. What does it mean? Does she give these many or all of these? No. 1/3 means only one group. Remember, the numerator tells us the number of groups we are talking about and the numerator says 1. So among these we are talking about only one group. You can pick up any. Let's pick up this one. So she has given 1/3 of her 12 paint bottles to her friend. She's given it. So how many are left? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Ria is left with 8 paint bottles. Now here's another question for you. Burhanuddin has 12 paint bottles and he gives 1/4 of his bottles to his friend. So how many does he have left? Remember, I again said how many he has left with him. Try the question by yourself and then play the video to see the solution. Alright, let's go ahead solving this problem. So, he has got 12 paint bottles and he has given a quarter to his friend. So, remember, quarter is 1 upon 4. So, the denominator is telling that we have 4 groups. So, we are going to divide these 12 paint bottles into 4 groups. So, let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, let's divide. Alright, we have divided our 12 paint bottles into 4 groups. Now Burhanuddin has given 1 quarter of his paint bottles. So remember, the numerator is talking about how many groups? 1 group, because the numerator is 1. If it would be written 2 quarters, then we would take 2 groups. But right now, Burhanuddin has only given 1 quarter. So, let's pick this 1 quarter and give it to his friend. How many do we have left? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, Burhanuddin has 9 paint bottles left with him. Now let's take a look at this question. Rema takes 24 minutes to complete all her homework. Her math work takes half of her time. How much time does she take to complete her math work? Now she has taken 24 minutes, alright, and half of her time goes in her math work. So let's calculate. Now here we are using a bar model. Now bar model is nothing but we make a rectangle. The rectangle represents the entire time or piece or total number of objects or the total amount of money that you have or total amount of sweets that you have. Here, this rectangle or this bar represents the total amount of time that she takes, which is 24 minutes. And then we divide this whole into how many ever parts you need to. Here, we need to divide it into half because we have to find half of 24 minutes. Later, you can use any counters to place in each of the boxes one at a time, like how we have done earlier, and then find out how much would be the given fraction. So let's go ahead. Here we have to divide 24. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's count how many do we have in one box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 of our counters or markings in one box, which means this is half. So half of 24 is 12. So Rema takes 12 minutes to complete her math work. Now here's another question. Again, we are going to use the bar model and the place value counters. Now here we have a large amount. Alright. We have to find quarter of 88. Now this is, say, the amount of pounds I have with me. So I'm using these counters with numbers that are nothing but place wali counters to find fraction for larger amounts. So, how do we do it? Now, if you count these, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. Now let's divide this amount equally. If you notice, this bar has been divided into four parts because we have to find out quarter of this amount. Alright, one part is a quarter. So let's count 10, 20, 21, 22. So quarter of 88 is 22. Now there is another way. This can be written in the form of a division fact, like 88 divided by 4 is equal to how much? We have done two-digit division, so you can either use this bar model or you can do the two-digit division and find the answer. So 88 divided by 4 will give us 22. So that's all for the lesson today. Have a nice day.